Hello everyone. Today we are going to talk about a very interesting topic called depth perception. And as the name suggests, it comes under the broad topic of sensation and perception. So, depth perception is nothing but your capability or capacity to look at the world in three-dimension format. Without depth perception, it will be very difficult for us to judge how far away object is in daily life. Something very interesting about depth perception is um, there are people who are born blind by birth, but then they later restore their sight, and these people almost have no ability to perceive depth, which means they won't be able to identify which particular object is far away from them and which one is not. Even something as simple as using steps can be a very difficult task without having the perception of depth, right? But at the same time, we see that even infants as small as 6 months can possess this ability of perceiving depth in daily life. And depth can be perceived in two ways. One perception which requires only one eye, we call it monocular cues, and the other one which requires two eyes, which is called binocular cues. Today we are going to learn about monocular cues. It is also called pictorial depth because this kind of cues are used by artists and drawing people, and they use this perception to create depth in their drawings, and even used by filmmakers to deceive us into looking at a particular thing in a particular way in which they wish us to look at. Okay, so this is just a overview of how many different subtopics are there under this particular topic. There are around seven, and the seventh one is different from all the other ones. Let's look into it how. So the first one we have is linear perception. So the two sides of this highway appear to merge together after a distance, right? And usually this is how we see even railway tracks, right? So this tendency for us to see lines in that particular way, and these are actually parallel lines, but we see them as converging on each other. It is called linear perspective. But rather than thinking that it is going to converge there or going to end there, we perceive it as the road being a very, very long road and it is going to end very far away from us, right? The next one we have is relative size. So for this one, I want you to look at the picture where a woman is standing with umbrella, red umbrella, and there's a woman in white umbrella. And the size of the woman in white umbrella is very small, right? Is approximately the size of the other woman's face. But does that mean that the woman is that short? Not at all. It is only a perception. Right? We know that the woman is far away. She's not that small. So when there are objects that we expect to be of a certain size appear to be way smaller than they are, we assume that the object is far away from us, not actually small in size. Usually this is used by movie makers. You would have seen Gulliver Travels, and they definitely use this particular perception or depth perception cue to make this perception of one person being overly huge and the other people being very, very small. Let's look at the another one, overlap. As the name suggests, it means blocking something. So when something is blocked or an object is blocked by other objects, we perceive it to be very, very far away from us. So if you look at this image of a mountain, we know that the mountain in the middle is or might be far away than the other two mountain, because we know that the other two mountain is overlapping the image of the middle mountain. Okay, so this is also called interpolation, basically meaning that interruption of some kind. The next one we have is aerial or atmospheric perception. This basically mean that air has a lot of dirt and pollutants, and usually things that are very far away from us would be looking more blurrier or hazier to us. That is because these dirt and these pollutants will make it difficult for us to perceive objects that are far away, whereas objects that are nearby will be much more clearer to us. So when we see something hazy or a blurrish, we will assume that it is far from us. Now, the next one we have is texture gradient. This means that things that are nearer to us will have more, will have a better texture than the things that are far to us. Things that are far to us will have a very dense structure or very dense texture per se. This is a trick that usually artists would use to make us think that a particular object is very, very far from us. Okay, so the next one we have is motion parallax. All the other ones were about a still object, but this one is about motion. So if you would have traveled in a car and if you look outside, or if you would have traveled in train, you would see mountains and all that are very far away would stay the same even after covering a huge distance, and the things that are nearer to you will pass by very fast. So this perception where things that are close by would move faster than things that are very far away from us is called motion parallax. If the image is not changing even after huge distance, it means that the particular object or a particular image, that is this mountain in this picture, is very far from you. Now, the last one does not have anything to do with outside world, but something to do with us. So imagine you are waiting for your friend and you see someone walking towards you that looks like your friend. To identify them better or to get a clearer picture, you would squirt your eyes and try to look at them. And at this point of time, our eye lenses will get smaller, right? And when we look at something that is nearer to us, we might not adjust our lenses at that particular time. So these signals are given to brain for us to understand how far away a particular object is. And with this, we are done with all the monocular cues. But there's a thought that I want you to keep in your mind. In spite of all these cues of perception that we have, even the most sophisticated perceiver will or can still fail to perceive the world as it is, and the world is full of illusion in some way or the other.